We're running to the car, and I looked back, and Derek is not running anymore.
I'm on one knee chugging a beer now.
And it's me and the camera guy and our sound guy, and we whip. And I think all of our jaws simultaneously went,
So, Popcorn Claire.
Okay. We were on The Amazing Race.
I've done Big Brother. We both did Big Brother. I did the challenge, and I've never done a recap episode. The thing that's different about the race is there's so much I want to talk about with it. We want to share like the behind the scenes footage of like what are our favorite memories from it, what are like the things that happen off camera that we loved, our favorite stories that didn't make it into the episode, because having done 2 other reality shows, I know there's so much that doesn't make it into the produced cut. And for me, those are the things that make it that experience good.
If you want to watch just a recap of each episode, go and watch
not here.
that.
Don't do this.
That's not what we're doing.
Yeah. Between the 2 of us, we've already lost 3 shows, possibly 4 shows. So I don't think we're necessarily the right people to talk about gameplay. But if you want maybe a good laugh, this could be it.
Yeah, and I really found it very invaluable before we went on to the race. We listened to a lot of past racers' podcasts and recap videos themselves and learned a lot of really good tips. So I think this is also, we're trying to do that as well.
So you're just completely contradicting everything I just said.
No, but they're fun, but also...
All right, so that's just a taste of exactly how the race went down.
We're at the starting line, but it's the morning of. What is your mindset going into this first leg?
My mindset going to the first leg. So let's see. I was incredibly nervous going to the first leg. Because this is a game where you can't rely on like your social skills to slide through. You need to be able to compete, and if you don't do something well, then you're just going to get sent home. So I was really nervous because I don't want to go out first for something that I can have. Basically, if I go out first, everyone's going to be like, oh, you just suck. It wasn't like anyone else's fault. I suck. So the night before, I didn't sleep at all. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah, you didn't.
Like, we tried to go to bed at 8 p.m. for like a 5 or 6 a.m. wake up. And I didn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. So I got maybe 2 hours of sleep, but my adrenaline was so high, I didn't even feel tired that day. We pull up to the start line, and I'm still incredibly nervous. Phil yells, go. We run over to the bags, and I can't even find my bag because like my thoughts are so shattered. I'm looking at these like 12 bags in front of me, and I was like, I don't know her. This bag could be walking down the street. I would not recognize this bag.
It was hard because it was raining that morning, so we all had bag covers, like rain covers on our bags, so it was hard to tell. Meanwhile, I was standing over at our bag. I was like, Derek, where are you? Where are you, Derek?
Honestly, the hardest challenge I had that day was finding my bag. I just could not tell which one was ours. Finally, Claire's like, yo, this is our bag. So we rip open the clues, we read the clues, and it's the scramble that Phil talked about, and this is when the race really starts. I think on top of being nervous, the mindset that I wanted for myself and that I tried to get into was like a meditative focus on the race and not mess around at all, which is funny because I started wrestling that chicken. But that's not how the day started. If you notice, at the beginning of the day, like I didn't really have much commentary because I was so focused on the task we had to do, like finding that bag. So it reminded me of like that first veto I had on Big Brother when I knew it was do or die. If I lost that veto, I was going to get sent home. And before going to that veto, people were trying to like talk to me, like hype me up, and I was like, actually, just can no one talk to me right now? I just want to focus. And I remember like meditating a little bit while standing in line to go out to the veto comp, and the entire time, all I was thinking about was envisioning the win. And I think I tried to bring that same mentality to the first leg, where I was like, don't even think about the fact that this is on TV. Like, don't put on a show for anyone. Like, right now, all you need to do is get the win, and the tasks are all tasks that I knew I could complete, so all I had to do was focus.
Yeah.
What was your mentality?
I think I was pretty anxious going into it.
Yeah.
Like, I think going into this entire race, I was very, very nervous because I never wanted to let Derek down. I never wanted to let myself down. I knew that I had not done as well on challenges as I had hoped on Big Brother, which is really our only comparable experience. Well, you did the challenge, but for me, my only comparable experience to what this would be like. So I was very, very nervous that I would just like crack and crumble and not be able to do something. But I also went in very determined because I was like, no, I have to get this figured out. I need to make sure my directions are on point. Like, I need to do right by Derek, right by myself. But I definitely went into this first leg with a lot of pressure. But I was also very focused on having fun. I was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I love this show. And I want to enjoy it. Like, I want to be having
$1 million.
I want to be having a fun time. And so that's kind of like, like Derek's pulling jokes and I'm like, but like, that's a fun time. But then once you're in it, I think like during the race, my mindset changed where it was like, do this task, do this task, do this task, do this task, get it done. Like when you see it, like you're like, Derek, like Claire, like, how are you feeling? What's the nerves? And I'm like, let's just get out of here. Like, let's just go do this. Which was, I think, like, is a productive mindset to have when you're on the race.
Yeah, 100%. Just speaking of when you were like, I don't want to let Derek down. You remember the conversation we had when you were like, I just don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
I couldn't find my words. And what I wanted to say was like, you could never let me down, Claire. But instead, I remember I hugged Claire and I was like, you can't let me down.
I was like, Derek, please, I don't want to let you. You're like, you can't. Like, you can't let me down, like, or else.
But what I meant was, like, you could never let me down. But the way, the words that I said was, Claire, you can't let me down.
And I was like, no. It's going to happen. I was like, no, I will let you down at some point.
I have a knife right here. I will switch partners. I will switch to Glenda immediately.
Oh,
so
God.
That was the tone that we set going into the race.
Okay, so we've talked about our mindset. Now let's actually talk about the race itself. Okay. Let's get into the scramble.
Yeah. We got first place.
Hey!
Let's
go. So Phil said go. Let's start from there.
Phil says go, and before Phil even says go, we're all standing, all the teams are standing in a semicircle, and I'm already thinking about, after Phil says go, what the plan is. And I'm telling Claire, I was like, hey, I feel like for this first leg, because we don't want to get last, let's work with another team. So we were like looking around, and actually Abby and Will were standing right next to us, and we had already thought they were going to be a strong team because of how small the bags were that they packed. So I was like, yo, we should work with like Abby and Will. I think like they'd be a good team. So that was our mindset before Phil even said go. Phil says go, and then everyone just runs off. Everyone goes, gets their bags, reading their clue. And in the clue, it says you have to do these 3 tasks at 3 different locations. And when you go to your car, you have a map of Munich, Germany. But other than freaking Marcus and Michael, who were literally like, I think Marcus was stationed in Germany for a couple of years. None of us know what Munich looks like. So we were all trying to find other strangers like on the street to plug it into Google Maps. We look to our left, and Abby and Will are asking a group for directions, and it looks like it's a pretty promising conversation. We run over, we're like, hey, do you guys want to work together on this first leg? They're also open to it. I'm like, this is perfect. And I run over to Will, I'm like, hey, what directions are you getting? And Will's like, don't even worry about it. I already have the first one plugged in. I'm getting step-by-step directions. I was like, oh.
Will did not even have his map on him. He had a notebook, and he had take a right on like he was getting like the Google like step-by-step directions.
As soon as Phil said it was a scramble, me and Claire were both like, we need to find all 3 locations and find the most optimal path through the 3 of them. So we already knew we didn't want step-by-step directions. And also, I feel like step-by-step directions, it just takes a very long time to get those down.
And if you get lost somehow, you have no idea where you're going.
It's over.
Like, it's like, okay.
Get back.
Yeah, because you might loop around, but if you have, like, in 500 feet, take a right on blah, 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 like, you just might never find that.
So,
like,
I mean, I think we actually kind of saw in the episode that kind of took out Nina and Asta for a little bit because they were getting step-by-step directions. And I think I talked to Nina about this at the watch party, and she was like, yeah, like, it was pretty tough, like, getting those directions. But anyways, Will was doing that, and I ran over, and we hadn't really talked to them yet, so I was like, I don't want to come on too strong and like assertive about this. So I was like, okay, great, Will, you keep doing that. I'm just gonna go grab my map. And then I asked one of the girl's friends to hand me her phone, and I started doing my own thing, which was basically just plugging all 3 into Google Maps and then circling it on our map. And I was like, Claire can navigate us to these 3 points just using our physical map.
And another thing is both Derek and I have actually been to Munich before.
Yes.
So we knew a little bit. I wanted to talk about how we decided what order we were going to go in.
Yeah.
Because we, like Nina and Asa said, their strategy was like, oh, it's going to end at a park. We had an idea that it might end in the center of Munich, Germany. If you've ever been to Munich, Germany, there's like this plaza with this huge glockenspiel, like clock, that's very scenic. And so I was like, okay, if we're trying to guess, which like, in hindsight, like it's very hard to guess where the pit stop's going to be. It's going to be something random. But we're like, let's try to plot our direction so we end as close to the center as possible.
And it was a little bit of a risk, but I think that ended up paying off because
I think so.
This was such a quick leg. I think Louis and Michelle said in total they finished 11th, right? Or they finished 10th?
10th.
10th. They were like, they finished 10th, but even for them, it only took 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little skeptical.
I don't know if that's true. For the next one, I'm going to try to get my journal because I wrote how long it took.
So if it took them 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it took me and Claire probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Probably took us,
like an hour 30. If I had to
so it was a
guess.
very quick leg at the end of the day. So the route that you took actually mattered a lot because most of the time wasn't on the competition, it was in driving.
And I do think, we're kind of skipping ahead, but I do think that is what the difference was between Glenda and Lamumba and us, is what our third station was and where it was in relation to the pit stop.
Yes. But anyways, the first alliance that we had was working with Abby and Will.
We
actually helped them out.
I think we circled it for them.
Yeah, we like, I got their map, circled it on their map. And then I even was like, oh, also you guys can follow us.
Follow us to the first one.
So they followed us to the first one, which actually ended up kind of hurting both of us because me and Claire got super lost.
No. We just didn't know where we were on the map for a while.
Oh yeah, that's
but
totally not
But we were going on the right path in general.
Yeah, we were not lost. We knew we were in Munich. That's true.
We knew, and I knew roughly where we were going, but we did get a little bit turned. So we navigate with them to roll. We find the clue. As we're pulling up, Michael and Marcus are leaving. And so like you see me be like, hell yeah. Because like, A, we're in the right spot. Amazing. But then I was also like, they already finished? Like, it didn't take us that long to find directions, and we didn't see them leave.
I will say, as soon as Phil yelled go and we all ran over to our bags, I could tell Michael and Marcus were built different. Everyone was doing a light jog because, you know, this 100-meter sprint isn't going to make or break your leg of the race, so I'd rather not get injured. Everyone's doing a light jog. Michael and Marcus are running at the speed of sound. I think I heard a sonic boom come out. When they took off, they had like a sprinter stance.
Well, the thing is, like, Michael was almost, Michael was injured at a certain point in his life, but he was like on the road to becoming an Olympic sprinter.
Yes.
And that was his energy, basically.
And even though he didn't become an Olympic sprinter, he's still
wild
fighter
fast.
pilot.
Yeah, like both of them are in the military.
We were going the same direction.
Sorry.
And you know what they say about fighter pilots? They're so fast.
But they're both in like, and he was even like, I haven't worked out in 2 months. And I was like, you're in peak physical condition. I promise. Don't worry.
I don't know about the chest.
Mwah. So
Michael, your legs, sculpted.
The calves.
But yeah, they got to their bags like it was probably like on fire.
Yeah, literally.
They got to theirs like way before us, so I could tell they were different.
So we're rolling.
We're rolling. I don't think there's too much to say about that.
Nah, we rolled.
Captured it pretty well. I was a dominant beast there.
Derek crushed it. I just finished it up for us. Something that they didn't mention in the episode, but what was important and what I think really gave us a leg up also is if you didn't get the roll in the 55 seconds, you had to wait 2 minutes to do it again because they wanted to let other teams potentially catch up and like keep it at a constant pace. So that's like Nina and Asta had to go 5 times. And so that's an extra 10 minutes right there.
We finished roll. Next place we go to is Saul. We get to Saul, and I'm probably just going to fast forward through this a little bit. We get to Saul. When I opened up the clue box, there was a lot of clues left in the clue box. So I was like, we're definitely not anywhere close to being last right now. We finish off the Saul, and then...
It was harder for us than it looked on television. I will say that. Like, I think like people have been asking me like, oh my God, how'd you guys know how to saw?
No.
We didn't. It was a struggle. Like, we got into like not a fight, but like we were definitely like trying to figure out how to work it and like trying different strategies. But it was hard for us.
I think the only key to Saul was at the very beginning. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to push while Claire pulls, but that's not correct. One partner pulls and then the other one pulls. If you push, then you bend the saw, and then that's when you don't have the most efficient force. So the trick is you just pull.
And you do it in small motions. Because it is. Because it's like what Sharik was saying, like, why do you need to pull all of this if you can do short, just this? Like, you're getting the same amount of saws and you're exerting less energy.
I think a lot of that physics just didn't work.
Okay.
I don't know.
Put a comment what you think.
Yeah.
I would be intrigued.
Better to have
short motions, not slow motions, short motions where you're not pulling the saw all the way out and all the way back and you just go like on rhythm, or is it better to do long motions with the saw?
I think it's long motions. I think it's like long, smooth strokes. And then because in the very beginning, there's like a lot of friction, right? But then as you start pulling, then you get momentum, and then you get like a little more acceleration on it. So I think it's like the long stroke.
Okay.
And also, otherwise, why would they give you such a long saw if that wasn't optimal? Finish up Saul pretty quickly, and then we get to the final station, which is Smash. When we get to Smash, I remember this. I opened up the clue box, and there were 4 clues left. And because this was our final station, I knew at the worst case, we were in 8th place. In the best case, we could have been in 1st, but because Michael and Marcus had left roles so fast, my mindset was, we're definitely not in 1st, and we're definitely not in last. So now, let's have some fun.
Sure.
Okay? Like, if I'm not going to get 1st, I'm not going to get last, then what's the point? Like, let me have some fun.
Yeah.
All right?
So the clue said, who wants to chill? And Derek and I agreed before we even went on to it that Derek will do the first roadblock, no matter what it is, because I was so nervous and I was so anxious that we were like, you deal with it, whatever it is, like, because you'll be able to have the more level head. And I don't want to crash and burn the first episode.
Tell me more about how good I am.
Yeah, you're awesome. I think you are the reason for sure why we won this first leg. Like, I think your rolling was so strong. Man. I think, like, sawing, I think we, both did as much. I thought we were fist bumping.
I just wanted you to speak clearly.
But I think you smashed very, very well. And you had a relatively level head, I think, for all of it.
So I run in, no one else is there. So at this point, I was like, all right, I want to have some fun. But I also want to strategically try to figure out what is the best tool to use. And I knew 8 teams had already gone past here. So the people that were watching knew the best tools. So I like pulled out like every tool and kind of got like the vibe of the crowd. But to get the crowd going, I really played with the chicken. Okay. Yes. So that's why you saw me wrestling the chicken, because I wanted to like make a joke with the crowd of like, oh, is this the best tool to use to block the ice? It was like Dora the Explorer. I was like, is this the tool? And they were like,
no.
Boo, boo. And that's why I was like, not the tool? Okay. And I was like, bah! I was like, we don't want this chicken.
But you were like faking the ice with the chicken. There were more chicken gags than was really
I was like squeezing the chicken. Yeah, like, I was like, can he fly?
Throwing him.
I started using it as like a puppet. I was like, is this the right tool?
Meanwhile, I'm like, Derek, like, we don't know. We could be going for first. Like, let's take the, come on.
Yeah. There's like a blowtorch in there. Man, this could have been like a 2-hour episode if I could figure out how to use that blowtorch. I was about to get lit. So things are about to get heated. I know more parts. All right. Anyways, I look over and one of the past teams, like their ice block was still there, and I saw that the ice had just completely split in 2. So I was like, okay, that is definitely the better strategy. And there was another ice block, which I'm pretty sure was Lewis's, which was smashed to smithereens. In the moment I saw that, and I was like, that was Michael and Marcus. I was like,
we're like, and they've won the leg already.
In my mind, they didn't even use a hammer. This guy picked it up and just squeezed the ice block until it shattered. That's what I thought happened. But anyways, because I saw one of the blocks of ice had neatly split in 2, I knew there was some way to create like a fissure in it and like make a clean crack. So I searched through the tools, and then I saw the chisel and I saw like the big hammer. So I just put the chisel on and like smashed it, and I used the hammer, and it just literally just you saw it in the episode.
It looked like you were just like turning like not butter, but you were scooping into butter or something. I don't know really what the metaphor is I'm going for.
A hot knife through butter is what you were trying.
Yeah.
But no, the episode made it look like I was using Thor's hammer to smash this ice because it split so neatly.
Like, poop, and then you just like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, so my block of ice immediately disintegrates, and then there's this metal container, and I thought, so when you like get a clue, you have to like show it to the guy, and like they like let you go. So I'm showing the guy this clue. I'm like,
this metal container.
I'm like, is this it? Is this the metal container? Is this the clue? And he's like, nope, that's not it. And I was like, wait, what is it? And then I realized I can open it up, but I couldn't figure out how to get it open. So I can tell the end should pop off, but because I had like smashed through the block of ice so quickly, my chisel had gone like straight through the ice and impaled this metal container. So now the metal container was dented. And because of that, I couldn't get the clue piece out of there. Using all of my 2 brain cells, I was like, oh, I just smashed this block of ice. Why don't I just cut through this 2-inch
We have
piece
all
of
these
solid
tools.
metal?
We have all these tools. Maybe you're supposed to use one of them to like bring back the saw. You know, you're like, Claire, get up here.
No,
We're gonna get into it.
thought, I was like, oh, that ice was so easy. This is the challenge. I have to now cut through this metal container, which was legit, like a solid inch of just solid steel. Finally, I actually am able to do it. And then when I do my final hit, the piece shoots out of the metal container, and I'm like, okay, Claire, I got the clue. No one has come this entire time. There's 4 clues when we got there, so I'm like, Claire, worst case, we're still in 8th place.
Yeah.
So we're running out of there. I'm super excited. And
We're running to the car. We're running to the car, and I looked back, and Derek is not running anymore.
I'm on one knee chugging a beer now.
And it's me and the camera guy and our sound guy, and we whip, and I think all of our jaws simultaneously went, what? What are you doing?
Okay. Well, I again was just so excited because
This did not make the episode, of course.
I was so excited because I knew I wasn't gonna get last. So we're running out of this beer garden, which is a famous beer house. And there's this group of people, which I thought was with production, and they were like cheering me on, holding steins of beer. They were like, bah, bah, bah. I don't know. Let's go. I don't know. Whatever. And they're like cheering me on, and I'm like running past them, and I was like, oh, actually, hold up. That beer looks pretty good. So I'm running, I stop. I turn around and go up to the guy, and I was like...
And he's like, ah!
I was like, hey, man, can I have that? I was like, can I have that beer? He's like, nah. So I grab the beer, and I go down on one knee, and I'm like chugging.
And they're like helping you with it.
They're
like
cheering me on. They're hyped. They're like, go, go, go. So I'm like chugging this beer, and then I look over the corner of my eye. Claire and all of the camera crew, their mouths just...
I was like, what are you doing? Like, we need to go. Like, what? We don't have time for a little bevy on the road.
I was like, come on, it'll take a minute. So I finished chugging the beer. I hand back the guy the stein, and I think we're just going to finish off the race like per normal. We're running, and then my camera guy comes up to me. He's like, you know you can't drive now, right?
He's like, I have you on film drinking an alcoholic beverage. Like, you're not allowed to drive.
I was like,
which,
dude.
like, yeah, we can't have a drunk driver on the roads in Munich. Like, I think I saw you drinking. I was like, Derek's not going to be able to drive. That was my first thought.
In hindsight, I don't regret it still because we got first. But if we didn't get first, I would regret it a lot.
Yeah.
So basically, he tells me that I can't drive. I give Claire the keys, and Claire's like, okay, now you have to navigate. And I was like, okay, bye. I open up the map. I'm looking at these letters, and they're so small. I was like, shit, man, maybe I am drunk. Like, I cannot read this right now. And this is when I felt bad for giving Claire so much...
shit.
Yeah. Honestly, giving Claire so much shit earlier, I was like, how do you not know if I'm going to make a left in like 500 feet? I looked at that map and I was like, dude, I don't know if you're supposed to make a left ever. Like, I can't even look at these streets right now.
So
what is
navigators are the unsung hero of the race. Like, if you're going on the race, you need to have your navigation skills 1,000%. Navigation will win or lose you the race, especially on our seasons when there's no taxis.
Yeah, it was completely self-drive. But anyways, because I'm an absolute beast, I was able to get Claire to the finish stop. But let me take you... Claire, now... So,
take it away.
So, Claire, I got you to the pit stop.
Yeah.
And we see the marked parking. Then what happened?
Well, okay, so something you have to know is... Oh, I think that's our kitty.
Oh, that's cute.
One thing you need to know about me is that I do not drive. Like, I learned how to drive a manual car for the race, and I practiced my driving for the race, but like the 2 weeks leading up to when we flew out was the most that I'd probably driven in 6 years.
So can I tell a quick story here?
Please.
Okay, so before we went on to the race, we did a little bit of a boot camp at Claire's house with her parents. And we both practiced how to drive stick. Claire did a lesson with her mom. I did a lesson with her mom. And at this point, we weren't really sure who was going to drive and who was going to navigate. And I knew I was pretty good under pressure, so I was thinking maybe I should navigate. And we brought this up to Claire's mom, and we were like, hey, so Miss Tracy, I think maybe Claire might actually drive and I'm going to navigate. And Claire's mom was like, yeah, you know, if like that's what you guys think is best. And then she like pulled me aside another time. She was like, Derek, I really think you should drive.
You need to drive. Do not let Claire behind the wheel. Because my mom knows I am not a good driver. And people say that, but I'm really not a good driver.
Like, do not let her behind the wheel.
Like, that is guys might get kicked out of a country. She's so bad at driving, which is true.
Okay, so tell them about parking.
Okay, so we pull up, and you can see us in the video, right? We're driving, and we're like, we see the angel! I'm like, I think this is the pit stop. Like, and we're pull up, and there are no other cars where we're supposed to park. And so now I'm freaking out. I'm like, I think we're about to get first. Like, no one's here. Like, we are in the lead right now. And where you have to park, look, because we're the first ones there, it was a little unclear, like the parking situation.
Oh, yeah.
But it was
They're
parallel.
totally marked cones.
It was parallel parking, and there were marked cones. And so, like, I don't pull into the first, like, there's like long line, cones. And I don't pull into just like the first one because we're uncertain if this is parking or not. That's why we drove past the first one. But it's like, okay, Claire. Derek's like, okay, Claire, like just park the car and then we gotta go. And I'm like, bet. But what Derek didn't know is that I had failed my driver's test 3 times because I could not parallel park a car. I've only done it once. Please, take it away.
So we see all these cones, no cars there. The street has no traffic. It's a side street. So I was like, Claire, okay, all we have to do is just drive right into the spot. Just drive right between the cones. And she's like, okay, I got you. I was like, okay, just pull in. She's like, okay. And I hear, and
I went, boom, over all the cones, over like all of the cones.
I actually drove through like 3 cones. I was like, bruh. I get out of the car. I look underneath. There's 3 cones crushed underneath our car.
And there's like a parking attendant that's like there to make sure no one parks in these spots. And he walks up and he says, what is this? Like, what is going on? Like, who are you people?
Dude's so confused. He's like, bro, all you had to do was pull in. He's like, there's no cars here. Like, so, literally just park.
Probably one of my most embarrassing moments. And I was like so pleased to see that wasn't on the episode. Yeah. But we've got it figured out, and we went running. We were able to find the underground crossing station pretty easily. Yeah. And then what happened, Derek?
We got first place. We show up. And because there was no cars there, we had a pretty good feeling we were in first. And then Phil's like, I'm excited to tell you guys just got first place on the 400th episode. We won $2,500 each.
Way more than, like, so exciting. Like, what a way to start the race. Honestly. Like, started strong, come out with a bang. And how long do you think it was before another team pulled up? Like, how long before Glenda and Lamamba pulled up?
Honestly, it felt like at least like 20 minutes or something.
I think it was probably around 10 minutes because we did a full interview like with Phil on the mat, because sometimes you'll be talking to Phil, like we saw it with Aubrey and David, and another team will be running up, or like all the teams that finish together. Like a lot of times you're in eyesight of other people finishing, but this time there was like a solid gap.
Yeah. So because we had such a strong finish, and like I literally chugged a beer, Claire was driving, we had a whole parking fiasco. We didn't have a smooth leg. And I was like, and we still got first. After that happened, I was like, Claire, we're going to win the amazing race.
Yeah, you might have seen some interviews that Phil's done being like, Derek and Claire were so cocky. And this is kind of where that cockiness came from, of that first leg.
We weren't confident going into the race, but after that first leg,
Mm-hmm.
it really messed up my mindset because now I was like, oh, I don't just want to not get last, Claire. I want to win every single
Let's
race.
sweep. That was Derek's mentality then. It was like, let's just sweep this race.
I was like, Claire, no one's ever won every leg of the race. That's so silly. Why hasn't no one done this yet?
and maybe we will be.
Should we do a little bit of Q&A?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of Q&A.
All right, I put up a story asking for questions, and I selected 2 questions for Claire that she doesn't know about, and Claire selected 2 questions for me. So we're going to read them and ask each other. Oh, wait. We already covered one. My question was, why Phil... I'm going to read it exactly as I typed it. Why Phil called you guys were cocky on the show?
Because we were.
All right. And you want to ask me one?
Yeah, I want to ask you one. I love your orange coat. Where did you get it? Also, congratulations. Multiple questions about the orange coat actually
they
in
actually
there.
liked it?
Yeah, the people liked it.
Oh, that's surprising because I saw the preview for the race and I was like, why did I pack that? Oh, that's the ugliest color I've ever seen. I was like, this is like puke.
Aw.
I got it from Uniqlo. It was, so we were very strategic about our packing. It is the ultra lightweight down jacket. It's like, I got it for like $40. I think it's usually $80. But the reason I got it is because it's packable. So it's a jacket that keeps you warm, but also can back down to like a little pocket like this. So it's really nice.
Yeah.
Can I ask you my second question?
Yeah, it might be the same question.
No. Hey, yo, why y'all slaying?
Hey, good vibes, good partner, good vibes, good directioning on my part.
2 of those were true.
Thank you. Okay, my question. What does Phil smell like?
Oh, I also had this
No!
screenshotted, but I didn't ask you. Okay. Well,
Did you smell him?
yeah. Every time Phil turned around, I'd always get a nice whiff of his. God, it smells like first place. I can smell the pit stop. Maybe,
Smells like tough as nails, some grease.
You know, it'd be a fantastic strategy. To get like a great scent of Phil and then use that to find him at the next leg of the race.
What are you, a hound dog?
Yeah. That I can smell his cologne. Phil smells like...
Look, we didn't get too close to him. But go on, please. I'm sorry, this was your question.
Phil smells like a fresh meadow of flowers on a spring day after you've just emerged victorious from a mad race.
I feel like that was like a mnemonic to remember something. Like you're trying to remember like the whatever prime gases or something.
Yeah, by
My very educated mother.
by mad race, I really meant my... Thank you guys for listening or watching. We'll be trying to do this after every episode. If you guys enjoyed it, comment, like, subscribe, those things. And then also let us know what else you want to hear us talk about. One word for this next leg of the race.
Okay. Are we saying it at the same time? 3, 2, 1. Pitchy.
All right, humbling and pitchy. Stay tuned.